Welcome to episode number 2. Today we're speaking with Patrik Thunholm from the Swedish police. We ended episode 1 with talking about difficult situations and also how legislation can be one of the tools for police officers, but also that they need to use communication skills as well. When I think about this, Patrik, I think about your book, and I just would like to put it onto the screen. This is your book, and it's all in Swedish, but for our English listeners, it's a book that was written by Patrik not too long ago, and it's about how feelings are affecting us when we're working. And on the picture, if everyone was observe it enough, they saw that you're wearing 2 uniforms, one that is the military uniform and one with a police uniform. And the book is about death, people that die, or people that would like to die, or people that doesn't want to die, but they can't survive. And I would like you to tell a little bit about the background to the book and why you wrote it.
Yeah, the book, well, it's out of my career. Death has always been present during my career. From the military, in the start, I had this conscript that committed suicide, and this was early in the morning, and I had to take care of the platoon. My colleagues were not there, so that was the first thing that happened. And during my police career as a police officer, as a police officer, well, death is present. You come in contact with death in different circumstances. For me, it's been due to being first responding officers at a murder where a husband killed his wife. They had four children. So that's the third chapter in the book. The second chapter was what I told you about the military. And then different things that have happened with drug overdose. It's been suicide attempts. It's been all kinds of things that has taken place. And for me, it was essential to tell a story about my career, because I think that if I spread these lessons learned, my experiences, maybe I can help other people in order to reflect upon these things that I have experienced, because I also needed to put into some facts when it comes to these things. As I mentioned, the woman that was murdered by her husband, well, I can tell a story about being a first responder to the scene, but still, that's just my story. I want to, in the book, raise it to another level, to look into the society. How many women are actually murdered by their men, and what happened to the children that are left for this family? They had 4 of them. What happened in my case, but also what kind of safety net from the social services is there, and so on. And also with mental health, what's it like in society? I can tell my story. I can tell about my emotions around these things. But to put it together, so it's a non-fictional book that's filled with both personal experiences, but also with facts from Sweden and from all over the world. So, well, it was about emotions that evokes, and maybe to help future police officers or future firefighters. That's another category that I write for, and future military officers to come out more mentally prepared when it comes to these difficult things that they're gonna meet. What is it like when it comes to meeting a dead body that's been lying for 3 weeks in Swedish 30 degrees Celsius, and with all the the things that the smell and all those things. It's difficult through words, but I want to somehow prepare my future colleagues when it comes to these things, and try to reflect also about things that it's not just a job that going there and then going home. I imagine that you have this backpack, that all these things, they end up in the backpack, and it's essential to speak about these things, speak with colleagues, speak with professionals, so that they are handled, these things that we experience as police officers.
Many people are very afraid, at least in Sweden, to talk about death and also situations like that. And I think a book like yours, where you are sharing both your own experience, the facts behind the death, but also what happens afterwards, and what, in some of the cases, why did it end up to be like this? Because all are not that we get old and we die, because that is what we all know, that there is always an end to our life, but we believe that we will be very old and we will have our families for a long time. And the truth that both as police officer, as firefighter, as ambulance people, also as military officers, and particularly military officers that go abroad for different kind of missions, they will face death. And in daily life, people are afraid of talking about it. And I think this book can open your eyes and also understand what these professions are meeting, dealt with it. You also put facts into it, as you told, and I think that's more educational for police students or military officer cadets and equal to it. But when you think about how people are dealing with it within the police, do you know anything about the history, how it was earlier and how they do it today, when police officers been dealing with dead people?
I can go to my own career. I started out at the Police Academy 2002, and 2004 it's 20 years ago, like right now in these days. Wow.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And I would say when I started, there was this organization is so much better today than compared to 20 years ago. And still 20 years ago, it was not bad when it came to these things, but there was still more to do about it, to be open, speaking about emotions and so on. And if we move even further back, 20 years back, it's 1984. I imagine that things were even more different then, not to the better. That's at least what I heard when it comes to these things. And I reflect upon how come, why is it like this? And we have a Swedish saying that men don't speak about feelings. That's something that not usually do, that we move on and so on. And the police and all these organizations are very masculine, I would say. They were created by men, and it's mostly men working, but still there we see a difference today. When I see in the Swedish police, we have approximately, I think it's 35% women right now that uphold police officer jobs. So there's been a shift, and still, even if this shift is there, it's still masculine when it comes to working close to violence and all those things. So I would say we need to speak more about these things and put words on them. And this speaking can be in the patrol car, that when I leave this place that's been horrific maybe, and lots of emotions. I have my colleague to speak to, and there's also professionals to speak to when it comes to these things. And reaching out for a professional is something that I see today that bosses encourage that to happen.
Yeah.
That if you feel something, well, take this help that is provided, because when I come to this scene, maybe I react in one way, but if I in the patrol car together with you, May-Britt, maybe you don't react in the same way, because you have other experiences, or maybe it's if I have the small children back at home, and these small children, or the job is with small children, maybe I'm affected more. So we react very different upon these things. And I think that's very important to bear in mind when it comes to this. And I would say the culture more and more in Sweden is that it's okay, more okay to
allowing.
speak. Yes, more allowing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was what I saw also in my own police career. I started years before you, and at the time when I started, we didn't speak about it. It was just a job. We went to it, we did it, and then we just carried on to the next one. And it was not much to talk about it. Sometimes it started to be a little bit of chit chat. And I remember my first debriefing, it was years later. And I know that I could sleep that night when I came home. That was not always what the case. And this is really difficult. It doesn't need to be that the person end up dead. They can be seriously injured. It could be very emotional things with small minor things sometimes, depending on your rucksack. As you said, you carry everything on your shoulders. Everything will be collected into your brain. And this is difficult things to speak about, and if you don't allow you to speak about it. So I think your book went to be one kind of opening up. And if people listening to us today, I would say that if anything open up in your brain, there are helplines in most of the countries around that you can call, and you can have someone to speak with for a little while. Like I speaking today with Patrik about his book about feelings and feelings connected to death. What I would like to end this episode number 2 with is that on your back, on the book, there is a case that you're referring to, and then you tell that when you came there to tell about someone had been killed, and the woman reacted very, very, very strongly to the information, you just wanted to run away, but you had no choice, because you were wearing the uniform and you were supposed to be a strong person. And this is policing when it's absolutely the hardest times at this time. So remember the helpline if you need this one. And we are welcoming you to episode number 3, where we will speak more about women in policing and women in uniform.